Welcome to 600 Seconds with Legends, where we capture the thinking behind the people who shaped our profession. I am Musaab Fagiri, and today I am honored to be joined by Ray O'Hara. Our guest today is recognized for helping shift how we think about security, moving the profession beyond protection and toward judgment, trust, and leaderships. 600 seconds on the clock. Let's dive in. Ray, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here and happy to be part of the legends of the Life Safety Alliance. Look forward to this discussion and then things that happen after today. That will be great.
Yes, we are so excited for that as well. Yeah. So, what shaped the way you think about security and leadership?
Well, that's a kind of a long question, with a short amount of time, but just kind of historically, starting in law enforcement like I did and have so many others. And I transitioned into the private sector not knowing a lot about the private sector and just happened to be in a position where I was with a company that I knew a lot about
Mhm.
and I didn't really get the private sector side. And so I learned early on, fortunately, that you really have to understand the business. And I tell people today, and you'll probably laugh at this, that are looking to join the private sector, I tell them, look, if you get hired, don't do a damn thing for 6 months. Learn how the company operates, learn
Yeah.
how they make money, and spend your time just understanding that, and you'll be much better off as the years go by.
I totally agree with you. And I had this myself. I was focusing a lot on security investigation, catching bad people, right? And I've seen like a lot of pushback because I'm not contributing from their point of view, generating revenue, right?
Correct.
Exactly. So security is not only protection. Do you agree with this or not?
Oh, I agree 100% with that because what I have been reasonably successful at, and others would say I'm more than just reasonably successful, is you have to understand the business. And whether you're making two by fours or you're cutting down trees or you're generating electricity, whatever it is, you contribute to that because you help them be successful at their business. And if you don't get that early on, and you get referenced as the company cops or or something like that, you're not communicating correctly with the business managers about who you are and what your organization really does.
Hmm. Great. When you're faced with uncertainty, do you rely on your judgment, or is there a framework that you go with in uncertainties?
Well, judgment has to be earned. And when you join the private sector today, you really have to get a better understanding, as I said before, about who they are and what they do and why you're in the position that you're in. And I think unfortunately, a lot of our colleagues don't remember that or they don't get faced with that. So, when the phone rings and it's executive on the phone and he says, "Hold on a second," or she says, "Hold on a second, I need to close my door." Well, there's a tip that whatever they're going to talk to you about or tell you about or ask your involvement in is a sensitive matter.
Exactly.
And so, you can't be the company cop in that discussion. You have to be an understanding co-employee being asked for your judgment, which hopefully you have earned along the way, that you can contribute to whatever this issue happens to be.
Hmm. Hmm. Good. So, do you think leaders today depends too much on process and not enough on thinking?
Well, we see that every day if you watch the news and something happens to company A, and all of a sudden there's a comment from the CEO of company A that says something that's totally stupid. And then we learn a couple of days later that, oh, it wasn't just this, it was this and that. And now company A CEO says, oh crap, I guess I didn't know enough. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? You guys are leaders in your industry. So find out what the facts are before you comment on what purported facts are. And this happens, you know as well as I do, it doesn't take too long to watch the news and you can see where people make the most foolish statements in leadership. And then yeah, and then they don't retract them. What they do is they try to beef them up by saying, "Oh yeah, well I didn't know this part." And I'm thinking, you know what? You got thousands of people working for you. You need to know everything that there is to know about whatever that incident was. And I see that's a detriment to our industry. And unfortunately, in the security side of the house, we sometimes add to that.
True. You mentioned earlier judgment and it had to be earned, right? So if someone is asking, what does good judgment actually looks in practice and how they can earn it?
Well, you have to develop a relationship with the other side. And one of the things that I've been doing that I've done over the years is I really spend a lot of time getting to know the the leaders of the business, and I want to know a little bit about their family, and I want to know where their kids are going to college. And so I've been out in situations, and over the years I've taken a lot of people with me that are maybe a junior, and we go have this conversation over dinner, or over lunch or something like that. And then the younger person that's with me says, we didn't really talk about what we do. And I said, I never talk about what we do. What I do is build a relationship with that person so that they trust me. They realize that I probably know what I'm talking about. And when they need to know a little bit more about what we do, for some reason, they're going to ask me.
Mhm.
And there's sometimes the younger people that are still kind of playing the company cop routine. They realize, oh, okay, and I can explain that to them and tell them why, and make a lot of reasons why we didn't talk about how big the fences need to be, or we didn't talk about how many guards there needs to be. We talked about what they do for a living and what their life is like and what's important to them. And when they can't sleep at night, what's keeping them awake?
That's great. So this one a little bit funny. I need a fun fact about you.
A fun fact. Well, if my colleagues were listening, they would start with golf. But I think my biggest thing that they would talk about is that I know everybody. And I hear that all the time. And when I hear that from someone, the first answer is that that takes hard work. If you want to be the person that knows everybody, you better start today. And you better not give up until you're at a point where you think you need to be. And I've had people tell me, and early on in a relationship, that they want to be as connected as I am. And I commend them on that for wanting to do that because that takes work. But I remind them that you have to be at that game every day. It's not something you start today and by the end of the week you're done,
Yeah.
because it goes on and on and on.
Okay, so my last question for you is in few words, what defines a legend?
Well, that's not worth a few words. That's worth a lot of words. And when you get appointed to something or you get selected and it has the word legend in it, you think about, oh crap. I mean, I've been at this too long that because people think I'm a legend. And actually, it's a great word and it's a great attribute to be able to tell someone that we follow them because they've done such a good job of mentoring, talking to others, helping others, and whatever the task may be, that generated the thought process that maybe they are a legend. And I look at the list of the people that are on the initial legends list for the Life Safety Alliance, and I look at all those people, and I know 90% of them, maybe more than that. But there's one that stands in there, Don Walker, who passed away, and God rest his soul. But he was definitely a legend. And a lot of people don't know this, but I nominated Don's name to be a legend in ASIS. And I thank the Life Safety Alliance for picking me out and nominating me. It's greatly appreciated.
Great, Ray. Thank you. Has been 600 Seconds with Legends. See you in the next one. Welcome.